Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Thursday Live. I know it said Monday Night Live at the beginning, so a little bit of adjusting technical stuff. So welcome. Happy evening to all my GMTers. Today we'll be working on the London pen again. I started it, or I was working on it on Monday, and I thought it'd be good to kind of get that, get a little bit more done on that. There's a lot of things to do. I still haven't done any of the 543s for Monday, but I'll tackle that this weekend, I think. So it's been a busy week. So let me show you what we got. Turn that down a little bit. I don't know why that comes in so hot, but there we go. So welcome. JC, what is up? All right, let me switch over and show you what I'm working on right now, and then we'll jump over to the pen. There we go. A little bit farther back so you can see what's going on here. So this is there's a show coming up in September at the gallery that I belong to in Lisbon, the Source Gallery. So they are doing they're in Lisbon, Ohio, and Lisbon, Ohio was named after Lisbon, Portugal. So so Mark is doing a Lisbon to Lisbon show in September, which will be a lot of fun. Gary, what's up? So he's got artists from the general area, the Northeast Ohio area, and also Lisbon artists. And then he also has artists from Lisbon, Portugal, and we're going to have a kind of a joint show, which will be a lot of fun. So I thought I'd only be able to get one of these paintings done in time, which was the Steel City Diner, Steel City Diner, which I delivered this week. But then in looking at the opening date, which is the middle of September, I think I'll be able to get at least this one done and maybe another one done. So this is the courthouse right in Lisbon. So Lisbon is the county seat. So the courthouse is right there. Neat building built in the late 1800s. So I wanted to grab a image of the clock tower. So Gary's on. So this is one of Gary's 543Cs in a way. And I say in a way because a 543, well, I have one here from Monday, like the cigar painting here. So this is a standard 543, which takes me roughly about 2 hours. I kind of keep 2 hours as the maximum limit for these paintings. This one, while it's still done on the same paper, the Upo paper, and it's still 3x4, this one, there's a lot of time in this one. And there's a little bit of color, but more so the amount of time that has gone into this painting has made it more of just like a regular painting. So it's kind of fun. I'm enjoying it, having a good time. So I was working on that right before you guys showed up. I'm also buttoning up the Chevelle painting. So the Chevelle painting is done. The painting part is done, and I've been working on the framing this week for that, and that will be the last installment in the open studio for that painting. So once I get that up, you will have seen from the moment I take the board out of the plastic all the way to framing. So it's the complete painting. It worked out to be 20 episodes, even though 19 are available. I have no idea what happened to number 8. It just got lost in the mix. So unfortunately, it's jammed in my computer somewhere. So bad file or something. So tonight in England, tonight what we'll be working on is the London pen. And what I've done, I started this on Monday, the earth part of it. What's going to be happening is there's this big reflection of the sun in the water, and I'll show you the photo in a second. And then the earth kind of wraps around, so there'll be like clouds and stuff. No continents, just clouds, but it'll definitely give the feel of a planet, and hopefully Earth. So let me show you the picture real quick. Pull it up here so you guys can see what we're looking at. And that's what I'm kind of doing right now. So you notice up at the top near the horizon there's a bunch of puffy clouds, but they're all like really subdued. So that's what we're going to start with, to the right and the left. We're going to start with those clouds, and then we're going to see how far we can get. But the order of business is going to be those clouds in the back, then the shadows of the bigger clouds in the front, and then the clouds in front themselves, and then the atmosphere, and we're done. Enzo, what's up? So that's kind of the order of business. That's what we got. Here we go. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Good. So what the heck am I doing? All right. I got black in here now, so that's not going to work. Let me get rid of the black. So I'm going to switch to a, what am I going to switch to? I'm going to switch to a light blue to do those clouds in the background. And I'm just going to run them all along the top edge of the horizon. I'll get the camera in the right spot in a second. So they'll be more towards the horizon and kind of bleed down into the foreground a little bit. They go about halfway down. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Again, I should be working on 543s and that Lisbon painting, but I did a 543 last Thursday, so I figured I'd do this, even though, you know, I got to get that other stuff done first, but this will be good. Thank you to all who have commented, liked, and subscribed on my YouTube channel. It is steadily growing, which is making me very happy. Be nice to have a second platform for these live feeds other than just Facebook. As Facebook seems to do Facebook things, it's nice to have a backup. So, and who knows, if it becomes the main thing, that's good too. So, Steve, can the UV-less clear be cleared over with other clears? Yes, so if you want to clear over the UV-less with a solvent-based clear, you absolutely can. It's basically like, the UV-less is like the paint itself. So that can definitely happen. In fact, that guitar, oh, cheers, by the way. Cheers, today is coffee again. Sorry for all the people who are in the UK who want to drink with me. Too much to do. But I'll drink with you guys later. Yeah, so Gary, the electric guitar I did with all the guitarists on it, that had UV-less satin clear on it to protect it when I sent it over to get solvent-based clear. So it's nice. It's scary because you put the satin on it and it looks really like kind of matte and washed out, but it's totally clear. Once you put a gloss on it, it popped right back out, which was good because I was a little bit scared. All right. Mr. Garcia, what is up? Oh, there you go, Gary. Yeah, because that UV-less is pretty visible. So, yeah. With that, I put a few coats of UV-less on that, so I wouldn't sand it, which is rough because you're going to have to bury that in clear to get that like really super clear. So what I would normally do is throw a few coats of UV-less on it, then sand the UV-less, and then put the clear on it, just so the clear had a real smooth surface. But if you're going to bury that, then yeah, it's not going to matter. You can just go to town and do the regular thing with that. All right, so this is Opaque White. And it's this Opaque White is reduced 2 to 1, so it's 2 parts reducer to 1 part paint, or 1 to 2, I guess is really the way to say that. So I'm going to add a little bit of the Opaque Daylight Blue, which is what I've been using for the blue in this. I don't know it's out of focus, but that's it. Cody, what's up? All right, so a little bit of blue. This might be too much blue. Stuff is strong. This Opaque Daylight Blue, that's better. And I may have to reduce this too, but I'll run it through and see what it looks like first. Because the Micron B is great, but it doesn't like real heavy paint. So, all right. What I'm looking for is, actually, do I want to do that? Yeah, I do. What I'm looking for is something a tiny bit lighter than what's already on there. And yeah, it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, how close can I get you guys so you can see? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of scumble in all the clouds. I'll get you guys real close, see how close I can get you. See if this will work. Yeah, well, wow. Okay, good. Excellent. Move this over here. Yeah, that's perfect. So you can see that little scumbling that's going on there. That's what it's going to be. Dan, what's up? Yeah, so here's the thing, Gary. Before you scuff that, there's not a lot of UV-less on that. So, so what'll happen is if you hit a high spot, like a little dust nib that maybe, you know, is painted over, you're going to burn through right away. That's the only problem with it. So I would almost suggest hitting it with the clear first, letting, you know, like one coat of automotive clear, letting that totally cure, and then sanding that, and then re-clearing it. You know what I mean? So bury what's there already instead of trying to sand what's there. Because if you scuff that, I have a feeling you're going to burn through in some spots. All right. So yeah, so just just by pumping the trigger, all I'm doing is putting in these, just these kind of surfacey clouds that are going to be kind of in the distance. Okay, good, Gary. Excellent, yeah. The only reason I say that is because I actually re-cleared, speaking of the Chevelle painting, I decided to do a couple extra coats on the Chevelle painting and of UVLS. So I did. I hit it with 1200, and I burned through a bunch of little spots, and it looked like it had speckles on it where those high spots were. So I had to actually physically fix it. I had to, you know, go in with a paintbrush and airbrush and repair any of the little spots. It came out great when it was done, but I'd hate to have you sand that and then have, you know, a bunch of holes put in it. All right, so really, again, just kind of mundane, just kind of putting in these kind of little dots, but this will read as those clouds in the background. And I'm going to do this all along. Now it's weird the way that this tape works because of the pen being round or cylindrical. But these come in all like the first inch from the horizon, which is the horizon is that tape line. So I'm going to just do the same thing all around the outside edge, down about, like I said, down about an inch. I'm going to do this pattern until I get to the sun part, the reflection, and then I can, you know, skip that obviously, but this will just add those like real thin puffy clouds that are in the atmosphere. And as I get down the bottom, I kind of spread it out a little bit so that they're not so defined. I debated on whether to put continents in and stuff, but I really kind of don't think that they need to be there. And I've had this pen for way too long now, so I need Sean to have this back so he can do his thing with it. There was no real hard set deadline for these, but like I said, I've had this a while, and I just want to get it back to him. I have two more that I'll do once things kind of settle down, and they'll all be different, but like I said, this one I just want to kind of get to him. This one will be cleared with House of Color UC01, so this will be an automotive clear for this, just because I want something really glossy and super hard. You know, the Createx is great for the paintings because they don't get handled, but I'm assuming this pen is going to be used, so I want to make sure that it stays in good shape. All right, so I'm getting close now to the to the reflection of the sun. So I'm just going to roll right up to it. Come on. Like I said, this brush does not like white paint. Oh, what's it doing? Huh. Let's see what we got here. Feel something jammed in here. 1 second. What is in here? Wow, this is crazy. Hang on 1 second. There's something. See what we got. So what's going on is it's not spraying paint at all. So it's not moving any paint. So it's usually because there's something in it. So let's see what I can do to clear that out. Not, we'll swap to another brush. Yeah, what do you know? It's odd. I have no idea what's in this. Wow. Unless a really big chunk of something got in there, which is possible. So, no problemo. Switch to the brush for now. This one also has black in it. So swap that out. So I started a time lapse. You'll notice there was no time lapse yesterday on the YouTube channel, which I've been trying to do a new time lapse every Wednesday. But I haven't started in the 543s yet, so that took care of that. I did start to time lapse that painting I just showed you, but there's just so much to it. It would be a 4 or 5 minute time lapse, and I never got it finished. It's been that kind of day this week. All right. Back at it in 2 seconds, just flushing this brush out. This one had all black in it too because I was using it on the other painting. While I'm doing this, you guys can look at that. So again, so if you look up at the top edge of that, like you can see all those puffy white clouds that are underneath the bright white clouds. So that's what we're doing right now. So same thing with this stuff like this. It is real complex. There's a lot going on there, but you just break it down. You know, I break it down into layers, like what's going to be first, what's going to be second, that kind of thing. And when you do that, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of digest. So that's where we're at. So obviously the first thing was the blue of the sea underneath everything, and then these clouds. So that's kind of how it went. All right, let me grab the white. We'll remix this color in here, and then we'll figure out what's going on with that brush after, because that's not good. I need that brush. And the Micron B, I've ended up really, like, I'm leaning on that brush hard. I really love that brush a lot. All right, there we go. Try this again. Yeah, okay. You guys need to see what I'm doing. That would help. This brush was cranky earlier too, and it still is. Oh, it's gonna be one of those days. Both of these brushes need to be cleaned out. I mean, I've been hammering these brushes. So we'll see if we can get it to kind of do what it's supposed to do for now. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to reduce this a tiny bit too, just to give myself a little bit of a head start with it. Maybe what I'll end up doing is breaking down the brushes this week too. See if I can get that working. All right, let me switch to the other side. Oh, I almost did it. Okay, I didn't realize I was that close. So the other side, I just got to get to that reflection. There's all kinds of clouds there too, which will be nice. It's so weird, you know, how the micron C is a 0.23 and the point B is a 0.18, so they're very, very close in size, but it's amazing the difference in performance between the two. I mean, the micron B is just an animal with that detail, but the C will do a lot of detail too, but it can handle a lot heavier paint, like the white. But it's like a totally different brush. It's you'd think they would be really, really close, but they're not. All right, so I'm just gonna, now that this brush is up and running, because I reduced the paint a little bit, I'm just gonna add in the rest of those puffy clouds. And again, as I get down to the bottom, I just kind of back the brush off and make them a little bit softer. That's it. Okay, so for the top edge of this now, what I'm going to do is with just this light blue color, I'm just going to really lightly fuzz, just fade in from the very top, just to kind of blend all that together right on the top edge. Good. Oh, there's a little extra there, so there'll be a cloud there. All right, so that's good right there. All right, next is the deeper blue. So I'm going to switch you guys back over to show you what I'm looking at. This one. Yeah. Okay. So if you look in the, like on the middle of this, where those big, really, really large clouds are halfway down on the earth, you see that dark blue shadow underneath everything. So you can really see it on that big bank of clouds to the left there, but it's basically under all of those white clouds. Even the ones up the top, you can see that blue edge on them. So that's the next thing to go in. So I'll mix up a blue that will work for that. I don't really have to clean out the brush all the way, so I'll leave some of that white in. That'll help. But for this color, I'm not going to use the daylight blue because it's lighter. I'm going to switch to the phthalo blue, which is somewhere here. Oh, there it is, in the wrong bin. So the Wicked Opaque Phthalo blue is what I'm going to use to make this color what it should be. And I'm just going to put a whole drop of that in, or two, and then I'm going to reduce that. Because I want this thin, I want to be able to control this. I would have been using the B had it not decided to stop working. So, but we'll save you guys from me pulling that apart. Yeah, shake, definitely, JC. Especially with the opaque colors. Is the blue, yeah, the blue has already started to settle out. So this is still too light, but that's okay. If I show you the top of this, I'm going to focus it so you can see it. Hold on. So especially the opaque colors, they will separate out. See all the different, so yeah, especially the opaque colors need to be shaken. There we go. All right, we're going to try this. It's not going to be dark enough, but that's okay. So now, actually, I haven't even thought about this. Now I'm going to look at this for a second. So in the photo, it's, you know, I'll show you again. In the photo, it's easy. It's the Earth. It's, you know, this round thing, right? But the pen is cylindrical, so I don't know where I'm putting these clouds yet. So I got to kind of think this out, because they're gonna follow the horizon, so they're gonna be really weird shaped. So I think as long as I keep them following the horizon, I should be okay. They're gonna be an odd shape here and there, but fortunately they're clouds, so that's not gonna hopefully make too much of a difference. All right, well, what could go wrong? Let's just go for it. Again, I'm going to keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the horizon when I'm doing these. Put them on the door, that way you have to do less shaking. Nice. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Let me just tape up the top of this because it's flopping all over the place. There we go. Trying to keep the space. Okay. All right. Again, I'm looking at the horizon for these, and I'm just going to throw them in. I have the reference photo, but it's just that. It's just reference. See how dark this is, if it's dark enough. Come on. I guarantee it's not dark enough. Okay. Nope, it's not. But that's okay. I can use this to kind of draw in some of these shapes to start. See what I got. But yeah, that's nowhere near dark enough. Okay then, let's try this again. And people say it's easy. Mike's brush. What's up, Mr. Flores? Mike, after posting that photo for Monday Night Live with your airbrush holder, the 6 airbrush holder, I got more comments on where to get those. So hopefully people are running over there and grabbing them. It is a really cool thing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I dumped all that out. I'm going to use straight phthalo blue. So there was white in that other one. I don't want that, so I dumped all that out. I didn't really clean the brush out that much because a little bit of that white color is not going to make a difference, but I want to get most of it out. Yeah, okay. This is probably going to need a little bit of black too, believe it or not. Because their phthalo blue is like out of the pigment blue. It is super blue. So the black is nice because it's got the jet black's got some brown in it. It's got that brown cast to it, so it kind of mellows out the intensity of that blue nicely. It doesn't take much because the black is really strong too. Good. Yeah, no, I really love that thing. That's awesome. It's awesome. And like I was saying on my feed, I was going to build one just like it. Not, I mean, functionally just like it. It wasn't going to look like that because I would have had to make it out of wood. Not had to if I wanted to. So yeah, that was awesome. That came just at the right time. So this is a pen. It's a pen from London Pen Company. Big old fountain pen. All right, this is much better. Let's see what we got here. This brush still feels like it's going to blow up on me. Meaning blow paint everywhere. Okay. Let's start down here where it's less tragedy if it goes sideways. Yep, this does not want to spray. So you guys get to see all the fun frustration today. These two brushes here, the B and the C, are my like everyday brushes. So when these two both act up, it's usually, you know, it generally slows things way down. I do have another Micron C and another Micron B, but they both are elderly for airbrushes. So they're even less, you know, less happy when stuff starts going sideways. All right, this is a good color. So now the nice thing is with that black, if I hadn't added that black, this would be like, it'd be like daylight blue. Even though it's a darker blue, the phthalo blue is really, really bright. So the black just adds a nice neutralizing kind of factor to it. Now the good news is once I get this flowing, the paint will actually help clear itself out. So these kind of cloggy problems that I have, and the more I work with the brush, the better that's going to get. It's going to start doing it less and less, which is nice. All right, so I'm just going to put another shadow down here in anticipation of another bank of clouds. And it's the same thing. I'm kind of keeping the horizon line above in my peripheral vision so that I can keep this going the right way. And this shadow, it does go across, good. Okay, it goes across the sun area too, the reflection, and it's the same color, so that works out well. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to fade on the bottom of this. I just realized I'm running off the screen there. I'm going to fade at the bottom of this a little bit too, just to kind of enhance that feeling of a shadow when I put the clouds in. When I pop those white clouds in on top, these shadows will make a lot more sense. Mike, Thomas, what's up? Oh, Neo. Yeah, Thomas. So I have a Revolution, which is the original Neo, I guess. Which I actually don't use that much because of the nozzle in it. What I ended up doing is I ended up converting my HPCS, my Eclipse, into a 0.5, which is the same size as the Neo and the Revolution. It just has the self-centering nozzle of the t-shirt brush, the big BCS, which is, you can find those nozzles everywhere. You can buy it at Hobby Lobby, which is nice. So that's kind of what I did. Yeah, but that Neo is definitely, that would work. All right, that's a good bunch of clouds. So let me I'll put another one up here a little bit, smaller one near the horizon. Like that. Maybe bring this one around. This gets really dark blue down here, so does that, yeah, the shadow does get darker. Okay. All right, so I'm going to bring this bank of clouds down here. I'll really push this bank down in here. Yeah, where you can see. This is fun doing clouds backwards. So normally when you do clouds, the sky is in the back behind the clouds. But in this case, the ground is behind the clouds, which is unusual. There we go. It's good. Keep that going. All right, so now here, if you look up at the tape now scoops back up because of the way the pen is. So I gotta make sure the clouds do the same thing. Put another one right here. So you see what I mean now that I'm using this brush? Now the brush is actually getting better as I use it. That the paint itself, the reducers in the paint, they're just moving things along in the right way. Worst thing that can happen is a brush sits around, especially if it has like tiny little residual bits of paint in there, if you didn't quite clean it out all the way. That stuff turns into like cement. So it eventually works itself out, or you can clean it out, but yeah, working with it is usually a great way to kind of get through it. It's frustrating because when it's not working, it makes it hard. Sometimes you can't wait till it does work, you know, you got stuff to do, so. All right, get on to this next side. Same thing, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the horizon line up here, and that's what I'm following. Put a big bank in here. And then maybe something down here too. And now for the sun area. So here's the last little bit. I got to kind of wrap this one shadow around that I started on the other side. Come on. Maybe add another one in to kind of help it out. And then this one up here, I'll finish this. I'll drag this out a little bit too into here. Couple more up here maybe, and then this one just naturally comes right around, so like that. So there was one other problem. Yeah, there it is. So I had a little bit of a white blowout right there, right at the end of my finger there. My dirty fingernails, my paint covered fingernails. Yeah, it's been a lot of sanding and a lot of woodworking, and yeah, so I've got black paint all over my fingers. It's been a fun morning. All right, so I want to get rid of that blowout, so I'll just cover it. Essentially just get a shadow in there. I don't have to cover the whole thing because there's going to be a white cloud on top of it anyway. I just gotta, you know, kind of get it started like that. Yeah, goth, right. There we go. Okay, good. All right, so now should be able to get away with the white here to put the bigger clouds in. Excuse me. Darken this down here a little bit. I really want this one down here to be bigger, because there'll be a bright cloud right in front of that. That's good. All right, now white. So we'll just wrestle with white for a little while and see what happens. Yeah, it's so funny. Speaking of being goth, you know, it's when I'm like spraying something completely black and the tips of my fingers are black. The studio that I was in Boston was within walking distance of a convenience store, and I would be in there a lot. So I would always go in, you know, in the middle of winter time with my fingers like completely black. So it looks like I had the worst case of frostbite that you've ever seen. The people there got used to it after a while. Marshall, what's up? Mr. Lewis. All right, so get all this blue out. There we go. Yeah, that's just sluggish. All right. I think I'll do that 2-to-1 white, I think. Since I don't think the 1-to-1's going to want to go through here very easily. Oh, I keep forgetting to turn that back on. There we go. Hi, everyone. All right, perfect. Let's give this a try. So this is 1-to-2. So it's 1 part paint, opaque white, to 2 parts reducer. So it's got some guts to it, but it's also reduced out pretty well. Nick, what is up? Welcome. Glad you got here. All right, let's see what 2-to-1 looks like, or 1-to-2, or whatever. So I'm going to start here in the front. This is going to be a little bit of both. So it's going to be airbrushing and paintbrushing, because I'll show you again. So these clouds, you see how tight they are? So they do have a lot of that airbrush kind of quality to them, but because they're so far away, they've got really like tight edges on them. So I'm going to use a little bit of both, some paintbrush and some airbrush, but I'm going to lay them in with the airbrush. That's going to save a lot of time and give it the right look. But a lot of the edges and stuff like that, that's probably going to be paintbrush work, which will work out pretty well. And look, I remember to turn that on too. It turns the camera always turns off when you switch cameras. There must be some sort of setting that I can find, but you know. All right, so let me see how this is working. Hopefully it's working. Again, you know, I want to keep it tight, but I'm not going for that final detail. Again, the paintbrush is going to help out a lot, so I can kind of go a little bit more general with it. But I don't want to like blast it, and I want to keep it pretty tight. So I'm going to kind of build it up the same way I did the puffy clouds, except I'm going to connect them more, which will give that tighter, more continuous look. Franz, what's up? All right, so yeah, this is also not wanting to spray very well, so I'm going to reduce this. I'm going to take my chances and have it be a little bit thinner. So obviously when you thin out the paint, it sprays a little bit better, but it's not as opaque and has a tendency of getting away from you sometimes because it's thinner, but I need the control a little bit on this. So let's see what we got. Because I'd love to be able to do 90% of this with the airbrush and then just poke in some details with the paintbrush. But I don't know how that's going to work. So I'm going to reduce it again. Again, need that edge detail more than anything. So I would have switched to this brush anyway for this over the B, again, because the B doesn't really like white paint. So I'd end up wrestling with it anyway. And sooner or later I'll either break the paint or it'll work. Meaning, if you get it too thin, then it just keeps flooding out and you don't get anything really. Then you would have known you've over-reduced it. So it'll be the one or the other. It'll work or I'll break it and then I'll have to start over again and try to find that sweet spot. But this is looking pretty good. You guys can see, yeah. Checking my reference here. Oh, no problem, Sean. Thanks. So for those getting into airbrushing, this is what you feel when this is going on. So the paint is really thick. I'm having a difficult time getting it through the brush, but it's because it's white. It doesn't want to go through very smoothly. So what happens is it builds up inside the brush, and I find I have to pull the trigger farther back than I normally would to get it to spray because it's so thick. The problem is when it lets loose, all of that paint comes out at once, and that's when you get those spider webs and blowouts. So that's what you kind of wrestle with. So to alleviate that, what I'm doing is, as I'm working, I'm taking a second every once in a while and just going off to the side and blasting out any of the paint that's starting to set up on the inside. And I do that regularly. So if I notice I'm really having to pull the trigger back farther than normal, a lot, then I'll go off the side, and I usually have a spare rag right off the side here, and I'll just either back flush it into the brush or spray right into it just to kind of get whatever's in there moved out. And I do that a lot. It's a regular thing. So things like, some colors like black and some of the other colors, when you really reduce them a lot, you won't have the same problem. It's just white is so heavily pigmented. White is usually the one that has a problem. Enzo, have a good one, man. Thanks for coming by. So my schedule coming up is going to be normal, even though I have the show in Salt Lake City. That I leave on a Wednesday and I get back on Sunday, so we'll still have all the Monday night feeds. What's going to happen is, though, that Thursday there won't be a regular YouTube feed on that Thursday because I'll be teaching a class with them. But the Monday night thing is going to go on no matter what. In fact, the Monday when we get back, I'm having the big giveaway for the anniversary of the 543. So it's a 2-year anniversary on September 4th of when I started doing all these little mini black and white paintings. So I thought for that feed, I'm going to give away all 5 paintings. I'm going to give away 5 paintings on that day. So it'll be a lot of fun. The way you get in on that is just drop by the Facebook feed on Monday nights for the entire month of August and just make a suggestion for a painting. And then as soon as you do that, you're entered. Well, you're entered in the following week automatically, but then you're also entered in the big giveaway in September. So actually, I gotta be careful what I'm doing here because I'm starting to roll around the back side of it, and I gotta cut back up to follow that horizon, which is not a bad thing. I mean, they're clouds. You know, you kind of mess with them. Lewis, yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for it. It's turning out to be a great fall between, getting back into live exhibits like with the Associated Artists of Pittsburgh, which was great. So I'm really happy that, we're kind of getting back to the point where now we can see art live. I mean, my stuff needs to be seen live. It's just the nature of the way that it works. So I'm really, really, really happy that we're able to do that again. I mean, what's been nice is during the pandemic, everything went online, and that I thought was going to be, a really dangerous thing for me because, like I said, my paintings they really need to be seen for real, especially the big expensive ones, because that's how you can tell what they really are. But there were some collectors that had bought them online without actually seeing them, and that made me really happy. But like I said, it'll be good to get back into selling for real. Not selling for real, I mean showing for real. But yeah, almost every one of the big paintings that have ever sold from me, someone has held it in their hands or had looked at it, for real in a show. The regular collectors will buy things without seeing them for real because they've had them. They kind of know what they're getting. But new collectors, I don't think I've ever had a new collector just buy something like a big painting online without actually holding it or seeing it, which I understand, and that's awesome. It means that things are kind of working the way they're supposed to be working when it's a much different experience live than it is online or in print or anything like that. So. Alright, I may be able to get away with almost all this without a paintbrush because this brush is actually being nice right now. So what I can do is as I'm working this, I'm just kind of adding in these little tiny clouds as we go. Yeah, that's it, Nick. I mean, I can, what it is it's hard to describe. Paint is a funny thing, especially this kind of paint, airbrush paint, because even though we talk about opaque paints and everything, essentially because of the way that the airbrush works, all the paint is transparent in the beginning or throughout. So that gives the actual live painting this kind of glass jewel type look, even when using opaque paints. So when you see that for real, it has a much different impact that you just can't capture with a photograph. So there's a good example of a big fat spider web, which is fine. Again, clouds are great because they cover that. Yeah, what I think I'm going to do is as soon as I'm done with this feed, I'm going to pull both of these brushes apart and soak them. I'm not going to be able to do too much with them the way they are, so I'm going to have to take a minute and break them down. The weather is a big thing with paint flow, especially humidity. Yeah, yeah. Fortunately, I mean, everyone knows that Marge is a great artist as well. So when she moved into this house, when she bought this house before I got here, she had set up her studio in the the first floor of the house. So when I moved in, it's unusual to need a house with two art studios. So I just ended up coming down the basement. And what's nice about that is the basement is pretty much underground, so it's almost always a consistent temperature, and I control the humidity down here as well. So it's not bad, at least until I can finish the real studio, which will be actually off. It won't be part of the house. We'll build something separate for that. But for now, it's the art pit, the pit of art, the art dungeon. It has so many great names. So it's also nice about these shadows. One, now, because I'm doing it this way, I don't have to put shadows in because they're already in. But number two is, like, I'm not really looking at the horizon anymore because I've done that all with the shadows. So I just have to paint the clouds in now. Excellent day. Coming around this side. So for the sun part here, make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. So for the part that comes across the sun, the reflection, the white will still work on that. Actually, can't see it because of the in-camera thingy. So we'll move this over here. Refocus. Lee, what's up? That's all right, Lee. That's in focus. All right. So yeah, so the white on top of this, even though it'll kind of shift to blue, won't matter. Andre, what is up from Brazil? Thank you. Thanks. So I shouldn't say that I'm not looking at the horizon up above. I am kind of keeping it in the back of my, kind of in the side view mirror there. But it's nice because the shadows that I've already put in really do kind of, help me out with that. So the Chevelle, the last episode of the Open Studio, the Chevelle, it's processing now. I'll probably try to throw that up, so you will see that today. It'll be a little bit later. And then there's one addendum to that last video. So that video kind of is a wrap-up, but there is an addendum to it because there was some weird, I don't know if it was oil or something was in the MDF, and it just kept coming up to the top. It's on the back, so it was just bugging the crap out of me. So I ended up stripping the thing, not stripping it, but I ended up sanding it all out, repriming it, painting it. So I gotta re-show the back because it was bugging me. I covered it with a business card, and then I'm like, you know what, I gotta really fix this. So there will be a little addendum to that, but it is done. I'm excited. That's why my fingers are all black, because I had to repaint the back of that. All right, yeah, you know what? I am going to do a little bit of paintbrush work on this. It's going to go a little bit quicker for what I need to do. Again, let me switch over to this. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm messing with. And if you can see how detailed those edges are for all those clouds. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now that holds true with the shadows underneath the brightest parts too. They're really, if you look at the shadows underneath the clouds, and that's in the reflection, they're really deep blue. So I'm going to kind of work on that a little bit too. Simon Carter, what is up? Didn't miss anything, my friend. Just slinging paint. All right, so I don't want to do this. Let's start with the shadow. It's just like we did with the airbrushing. So I'm gonna put on the dirty glove. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Okay, so grab a little bit deeper blue here for this. Actually, it's probably too deep. There we go. Oops. Boom. There we go. Let's start down here where it's darkest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in some more detailed edges on that shadow. And all this is phthalo blue and black. It's the same as what I use in the airbrush. There we go. What I can also do is kind of turn this so you can see it. With this color too, I can also kind of indicate the pattern in the water too. So this is fairly thin, so it's relatively see-through. So what I'll do is as I do this shadow, I'll just kind of tap in these little tiny wave marks too. So that way it'll kind of give the feeling of the water as well. So what's going to happen is if I put this color though on the reflection, it's going to turn green. So I'm going to have to adjust it as I go. Yeah, this is the right thing to do. And again, this is the difference between, with the 543s from the outset, they were designed to be paint sketches, something really quick that wouldn't break the bank for, collectors, beginning collectors, or collectors that wanted, a few smaller pieces or things like that. What I'm doing right now is something that would never get into a 543. So that's the difference. It's like there's a goal, the goal to be met on what this needs to look like. And the only way to do that for me is to put in the time and, this, what seems like just insanity, Thanks, Simon. Yeah, it's so easy with this paint. So easy. So wherever that blue is, that heavier, I'm going to do the same thing. And again, even though I've got these little wavelets in here, I'm following the angle of the horizon up here. I figure that's the safest way to go. Simon's drinking already. He's not already. Simon's in the UK. That was the whole point of doing this feed, so that the UKers, actually all the GMTers weren't up at 3 in the morning on a work day drinking, which is okay if you can do it, but I don't want to be held responsible for you guys doing that. So that's why we did this feed, because this feed is after work for all my GMT friends. So I'm glad, Simon. That's good. So this is just how I figure crap like this out. It's like next time if I had to do this, I'll be like, oh, okay. So next time if I put the paintbrush stuff in first and then just hit it with the blue, that might be a better way to do it, a faster way to do it, essentially. But that's it. That's kind of how it works. I was going to say already, and I just realized it's 7 here. I know. Yeah, right, Lee? I had a tasty adult beverage with you all last week on Thursday, and it will happen again. Like, I will toast on Thursdays, but this week there's still so much to do, and there's only a couple days left. So, and Marge heads for Wisconsin this weekend, so I'll have a lot to do around here as well. So yeah, I'm gonna be good today. Actually, you know what? I might be able to cheers with you next Thursday, because by next Thursday, a lot of the stuff that I've been working on should be set and ready to go, or already done. So I'll be able to relax a little bit too. Simon, don't worry about it. I'm a professional. One of my favorite, not really favorite sayings, but saying that I thought was hilarious was, I forget who said it to me, but we're talking about day drinking, and the quote was, "You can't drink all day unless you start in the morning." And I'm like, oh no. It's funny, Marge and I were just talking about that too, because she's she's a great artist. She also has she works for a major circuit board company, super, like, obviously corporate type thing. And I don't know how it came up, but we were talking about day drinking, and obviously their company has zero tolerance for that, as they should. But and she was, there it was interesting, they like for me, if I have a beer right now, I'm not going to get fired, because I know the boss, but still, the idea of like, having a beer with lunch like salesmen do or whatever, and then the idea of being so trashed that you can't do your job. It's like there's a difference there, and I understand, obviously corporate America or corporate anywhere has to have, zero tolerance for that. But yeah, the days of, going out to lunch and having liquid lunch, even in your corporate job, those days are over. Probably not a bad thing, but but like I said, I know the boss here, so he cuts me some slack. All right. You guys still with me? There we go. I had to look up to make sure that you could actually see what we're doing. Cody, she won't fire me, luckily. However, if she came home on a Thursday and I was plastered, or, that might be a different thing. And I wouldn't blame her for that. So, all right. I'm trying to remember. I think I still have no, I have white in the brush. Okay. I was trying to remember if I still had the deep blue in the brush, because I'm going to have to kind of work this whole thing over is I'm going to have to hit all this paintbrush stuff that I just did with the airbrush just to kind of blend it together a little bit. And I'll have to do that before I finish with the white, because this is underneath that. I remember taking my ex-boss and his boss to lunch one time. They drank 8 pints each and had to run a meeting in the afternoon. It was both hilarious and depressing at the same time. The studio I used to have was in a sign shop, and the current owner of the sign shop basically inherited the sign shop from his father. And the stories that they used to tell about the sign guys, they would actively drink all day long. They'd be in like they've been doing like crane work, like lifting signs with cranes, and they'd have like, beer on site. Just amazing that more people didn't get killed. All right. What I can do now, though, is I can do the white. So I'm going to, like we said, I want to make sure I get some of this, more detail for the clouds, especially in these ones in the foreground. So I'm just going to kind of go in and add that cloud type feel to them now. Max, what's up? Yep, that's it. Can't drink all day. Let's start in the morning. Oh, yeah. And then, I have a lot of friends who are musicians, and the musician stories are notorious. One musician that I know, no, so everyone who has had any amount of alcohol has probably been drunk, right? And once in their life. This guy would regularly get drunk 3 times a day. So think about that. So he would drink till he was drunk. Then he would sober up. Then drink again till he was drunk again. And then sober up. And then do his gig and drink on the gig and get drunk again. That is amazing that he's alive. I've got a saying from him too. I guess we were talking about like the different kinds of beer and things like that, and he was the one who said that like light beer, like whatever light beer you tend to drink, Coors or Bud Light or whatever. He said that's not drinking, that's maintenance. I'm like, these people have serious problems. Proper dedication. I know, yeah, actually he doesn't obviously, well, not obviously, but that is an unsustainable life, and he was fortunate in that he was able to straighten out his life, because he did obviously that's a problem. That's full on alcoholism, and he was able to straighten out his life, so he doesn't drink anymore. But when he was doing it, man, you're right, there's Not a lot of chance at a long, healthy life if you're doing that. Yes, Simon, isn't that great? That's not drinking, that's maintenance. All right, and while I'm talking about alcohol, you guys still catching up what I'm doing? So now I'm doing the same thing, and I'm kind of putting in those like more detailed areas for those clouds. This will all get hit again with airbrush, and it'll all tie together. I should have probably painted the blue in first, which might be a good idea. Let me do that. Dang it, I wish this brush was working. Let's give it one more shot. Yeah, this is not happy. There we go. All right. What else? What other drinking stories do I have? I come from an Irish family, so it's kind of, well, Irish and Italian. So between the wine and the whiskey and beer, there was no one got out alive. Except my mom. My mom did it. My mom has been sober for 38 years, I think. Yeah, 38. And my mom is just an incredible human being. She just decided one day that she didn't want any more wine, and she quit cold turkey, and that was it. There was no other. She did that with cigarettes too. I think 15 years ago, she decided that she was done with cigarettes. She wanted to go to Italy. She wanted to see her grandkids, and she just quit. I'm like, what? So. All right, so all right, I got the B sorted out, this brush here. So I'm going to use this again. So it's a drop of phthalo blue, a little bit of black, and this time I'm going to add some 40-50 to it. Hold on, let me, why do I keep, because it's in the wrong spot. I keep losing the blue. There we go. So instead of just straight up reduction, which I certainly can do, I'm going to use a little bit of 40-50 in here. So that's a phthalo blue. This is 40-50 with, it's 1 to 10. So it's 1 part 40-50 to 10 parts reducer. So this is really going to reduce this well. And then I'm going to put that touch of black in here again too. Anybody ever get so drunk while painting, all you could do is daggers over and over again? Thomas, I can barely do daggers when I'm not drinking. So yeah. 38 years is amazing, and just stopping. Yeah, Simon, I think she had just had enough. And like I said, I mean, my dad loved his beer, and he was a Bud Light guy, and he liked Sam Adams every once in a while, but he was mostly Bud Light. But so, and like I said, we come from a full-on Irish musical family, so what it was drinking and playing music. So she had just gotten to the point where she was done with it, and that was it. All right, that looks really good. Simon, that's not good. Oh, look, this works again. Hooray. So it's all set. So now I got that same darkish blue. So what I'm going to do again, I'm going to go in here and just kind of tie all the paintbrush work back together. And again, this brush can get almost down to that paintbrush level. So, so it's nice to be able to kind of like blend the two. Soften the edges, but still be able to pull out some details on those edges too. This brush is a monster. It's just, man. So this brush indirectly was given to me by my Uncle Mike. So every time I pick up this brush, I think of him. So he passed away 2 years ago, just about. And that just blew out all over the place. Uncle Mike, I was talking about you. That's okay. There we go. What did you find the most difficult painting on this pen? So mostly it was just the layout was the most difficult part of this. You know, I had to, I need my pen. So the most difficult part for this one was, you know, I had a flat image of the earth like this, right? But now I have a cylinder that I have to put that on and have it meet in the back. So what happens was I have the curve of the earth, but on the other side of that, these are now going in the wrong direction. So on the other side of it, I had to figure out how to make it like this. So, and then also hopefully make it look good too. So I think that was the hardest part. All right, let's address the massive blowout there that I just had. What about smelling too much paint? No, spray tack. Yeah, Thomas, that's exactly. That and, you know, Sharpie markers and things like that. All right, so what I got to do to get rid of this spider web, and it's a biggie. You can see it. So all I'm going to do is just going to put in more shadows down in here to cover that up. I'm going to continue out the shadows up here to kind of block those out as well. So what I'll be left with is just the areas in the white that have the spider web on it. And then I'll just go back in when I do the white and add more clouds there. That's all. So it's much easier to hide this mistake than to try to fix it. You know, if I tried to fix it, I'd have to redo all the water, you know, and mess with all that, and I don't want to do that. All right, so back at it. The shadows get lighter as they get towards the top too, so there's that. What reducer 4011? Yes, Nick, 4011 reducer is the only reducer I use now. Which works out well because I was using 4011 for all the paintbrush stuff and then 4012 for all the airbrush stuff. So when they kind of made the shift for all the airbrush stuff to 4011, it actually really simplified my life because I was using the two reducers for those two applications. What I found was that if I used the 4012 with the paintbrush, it would shock the paint and it would, you know, cause it to beat up on the surface, where the 4011 didn't do that. So that was nice when they kind of consolidated. And I don't believe 4012 is even on their website anymore. So I think that's going away. Again, just where I did those paintbrush strokes with the dark blue, I'm just kind of going over those lightly with the airbrush to kind of smooth them out. And this color is pretty dense, and so as I go over the reflection part of it, it's holding up. It's not turning green at all because it's got a lot of pigment in it. Because I didn't really over reduce it, I just used the 40-50 mix. This one's going to be cleared with House of Color USC01, so they're show clear. Again, we were just talking about that. I really want this to have a really, you know, shiny, lacquered, hard surface. And the best way to do that is a 2K automotive clear. I was thinking about using the car rep clear, the 2K car rep clear, which is really, you know, I'm having a lot of fun with that. But this is such a small item, and I'm not overly used to the spray can yet. I'm going to stick with what I know for this one. I mean, who knows? Eventually, once I get a handle on, you know, really getting that spray can clear down, which works really well, I'll probably end up using that for a lot of different things. It is really, really nice stuff. All right, we are doing good. Oh, this last one up here. Oh, and there's a whole blowout right there that I missed. Okay. Again, not a major deal. Especially with clouds. Clouds and water, you can hide everything. Mr. Melton, there's always room for Jell-O. So we'll hide enough of this blowout so it doesn't look like a giant meteor hit the Earth. All right, that's good. That's good. And I think, I do have white in here. Good. All right, so now with the white, what I think I'm going to do real quick, because this blowout is where it is, I'm going to just go in with the white down in here and fix that. Fix that stuff here. So this is where the blowout had crossed the clouds. So I'm just going to go back in and fix that. And up here too, where there's a little bit more of that. So the disadvantage of working with a paintbrush on something like this is the paintbrush puts paint down dimensionally. You know, it actually, you can see the lumps of paint, where if I do this with the airbrush, it's totally smooth. So whenever you introduce paintbrush to the work, it just means more clear coat in the end if you want it to be totally smooth. But it's kind of the price we pay. Oh good, this is actually where I left off, right on this part of the cloud. So I'll just keep it going. And happens to be where the blowout was, so that'll work out all right. 4012 is a tough go when learning to use Createx. Yeah, Nick. Like I said, I use it only with the airbrush work, and then all the paintbrush stuff I was using the 4011. So I still have a bunch of 4012, and actually when I ran out of 4011, I was using the 4012 again. And it's funny how different it is. I wasn't prepared. All right, much better. So I don't know what I'm putting on the other two pens. I have ideas. I have a couple ideas, but I'm not 100% sold on them yet. But I have time to think about them. Originally, I was thinking like these pens would be like a 3-pen set. They'd all be tied together some way. But then when I decided to do the Earth on this one, I'm like, eh. I mean, I still could. Like I could make them all astronomy based. Like I could have a Mars pen and a Jupiter pen and that kind of thing, which might not be a bad idea. So it might still happen. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not quite sure yet. Yeah, Lee, you're lucky you kind of went that way because you never had to switch from one to another. So that's good. And I'm glad they were able to consolidate. You know, that's it's hard enough, you know, with all the stuff that's out there. So if you have, you know, multiple reducers that are made for multiple things, it takes a lot more of kind of figuring out and that kind of thing. So it's nice that they kind of consolidated it. James, have a good one, man. Thanks for dropping in. All right, there we go. So that's all the white with paintbrush. So now I can go back in with the airbrush and do the same thing. So I'll just kind of clean it up, soften it. Like here especially, let me show you this one. So this one right here, you see how like I don't know, you could tell it was done with a paintbrush. Here we go. So by coming back in now with the airbrush, and it takes a lot of the pressure off the airbrush because now I don't have to try to get really tight detail with the airbrush. All I'm doing is filling in areas. In fact, I may dump this paint out and put the, yeah, I think I will. I'm going to go back to the little bit thicker paint because it'll cover better than this stuff and I don't need to do the details with it. I had issues with illustration colors along with the Candy 2.0 seeding sometimes, but no issues with 4011. That's exactly it, Nick. That was what was going on. It would, especially, I don't know, black especially for me, it would seed black a lot. So just for those who don't know what that is, when you mix paint, if you add a reducer and it shocks the pigment, it'll seed it, which will mean it'll pull the paint apart from the binder or in the reducer in it. So you get this clear liquid with all these chunks of paint, wet chunks of paint, almost like a mini lava lamp. So, yeah, I'm like I said, I'm happy that they've kind of settled on. I mean, they still have 4013, which has the acetone in it. And I believe they still have the automotive reducer, but yeah, in the 2 years since they kind of decided that 4012 was on the way out, yeah, it was mid-pandemic. I just switched over to 4011, which is good because during the pandemic I ran out of 4012 and everything was closed. It was like, you know, it's crazy. So it worked out okay. Solar system set. Lewis, I think that's a great idea. I mean, the more I think about that now, it'd be fun to do a Mars one. And I always say that if I wasn't an artist and I had a bigger brain, that I would be some sort of, have something to do in the astronomy field because I love it so much. So maybe I will. This might be a good idea. All right, so what I'm switching back to is just 1-to-1. This is the 1-to-1 mix. I'm going to give this brush a try with this. If this doesn't work, I'll use the HPC, which has an even bigger nozzle than this one, but we'll still pull some detail, so it'll be a nice way to go. I had issues with the white and sepia, but they could have been a bad batch. Probably froze during travels. Yeah, Nick, that also could be it too. Stuff, I mean, the stuff, it can survive being frozen, but just not a hard freeze. Like, you know, if you have big blocks of paint. The clears don't hold up to being frozen at all. So if they get frozen, they're junk. But all right, let's see what we got. Yeah, I can deal with this. This is going to work. So hopefully you can see that. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. So we just kind of roll in with the airbrush and then just kind of connect the dots. When do you fall for your final ordering before the big freeze each year? So fortunately, well, I had to think about that a lot when I was in Massachusetts, because if I was ordering from Coast, that's 4 to 5 business days. When Bear Air was open, and when I was at Bear Air, that was easy because I would just grab it. But when Bear Air was open, they were in Massachusetts, so it was only a day to ship from them. So right now in Ohio, it's about 3 days from anywhere, which is really, really nice. So if I had to order paint, I'd feel pretty good about ordering it all year, as long as I kept an eye on the, you know, the weather in between. But yeah, above freezing is always a safe bet. Yeah, and then that's it. So Nick's got it. So if you load up in the summer, you won't have any problem at all. And some colors I have a bunch of anyway. Like black and white, I have a quart of each, so I won't run out of that. The other nice thing that was, well, when I was in Massachusetts, the Hobby Lobby near me stocked Wicked colors. So in the wintertime, if I was out, I'd just go to Hobby Lobby and grab what I needed. It was pretty easy. They don't really have it. There's a Hobby Lobby here in Boardman, which isn't too far away, about a half an hour away, but they don't really stock that much. Yeah, this is not what I want. So let me switch to the HPC. This old HPC has been a workhorse. It needs a little bit of love. I should get a new needle for it, that kind of thing. But what's nice about this brush is this is a 0.3 millimeter brush. So it's a little bit bigger than the Micron, but still has a good amount of detail to it when it's not spraying by itself. There we go. Let's get this seated correctly. Oh, is this not? What is going on with all my brushes? I take it back on this one. What's this one doing too? What is with this one? I take it back. I'm not using this one either. That one needs some help too. All right. Blowing paint everywhere. But yeah, that 0.3 millimeter, the HPC, is usually a good choice for the white too. Max, what I miss? What did Max say? That's why I love Createx and I want availability. Yeah, that's a big thing. Juan, what is up? That's okay, Juan. Coast isn't too bad. Having to order clear or something. Now I have to consider. Yeah, clears are, you want to be careful with that for sure. And they can't send most flammable clears overnight. Not that you necessarily need it overnight, but so yeah. And then you know what? Here's the thing: if you guys have problems with your Createx, you can certainly go through Coast and they'll replace they'll help you out with that. But what's really important is if you find you get I've never gotten a bad batch, but I do know people, or I've heard stories of people who got bad batches of something or whatever. Createx keeps track of every single drop of paint that they make. They have samples. So when they do a run of like blue, like phthalo blue, they'll do the run. They pull off a bottle of that run. It's marked. Let's see if I have a... Where is it? I'm trying to find a bottle that isn't all blasted up. But they have the run number on the bottle. So yeah, all these have paint all over them, so you can't see them. So you can, if you say you have a bottle of phthalo blue that's acting really weird, you can contact Createx and say, hey, this is the bottle I have, this is what's going on. They can actually pull that bottle from that run to see if it was something with that run, or if it was maybe something in the shipping or the way it's being stored or whatever. So they are extremely good about being able to troubleshoot their own stuff. So just a food for thought. If you do get something that you think is weird, go to Createx. Not necessarily first. You can always go to Coast or wherever you buy it, Spray Gunner or whatever. But yeah, Createx takes a lot of pride in making sure that what they got is working the way it should. Yeah, that's the other thing, Nick. 4030 does tend to harden up, and depending on what it's been through in its life, or even on the shelf, it definitely can do that. Now that's the other thing too. I haven't used 4030 in a long time now. That it's really since the 4050 came out. I use that in place of 4030 and everything. And I was adding 4030 to everything, so I just replaced it with the 4050. Had it happen, threw them away. Luckily, got them for free. That's good. Great customer service experience. Yeah, they're great over there. Yeah, I've never had a bottle of 4030 dry like that in the bottle, but I have heard of that more times than or I've heard of that happening a lot. Not a lot. I shouldn't say that. But that's the one thing I've heard, that sometimes those bottles, for whatever reason, whether they're not sealed properly from wherever or what, but they will, they'll tend to dry up. And I say that, but I have a bottle of 4030 that I haven't used in probably 2 years. It's sitting right there. That's still liquid, so I don't know. Yeah, Max, I love their new YouTube channel. Not really new YouTube channel, but their YouTube channel, so... Chris is doing a great job with that. And it's so cool because I get, when he's doing when Chris is doing like a paint job on a vehicle, I get more out of just the painting techniques, like the way that he puts paint down and the way he deals with it. I get more out of that for my stuff than anything. So even though he's painting a car, it's like, oh, I get it now. You do this type of thing with this paint, either dry time or, application wise or those kind of things. And that's really what I take away a lot from those videos. It's great. 40-30 would dry in the bottle initially. 2 that were both replaced by the supplier before 40-50 anyhow, but the master bottles of 43 were fine. Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool. Oh, thanks, Simon. Thanks. Yeah, their gun cabinet is beautiful. He has got all the toys. And that's true too. That's like when I went to when I visited Jason Garfoot when he was with GFS Global Finishing Solutions. The global GFS makes spray booths, but not your normal run of the mill spray booths. Although they do that, but they make giant spray booths. Or if you're trying to clear your 747, the GFS is the company you'd call to build you that spray booth. So anyway, Jason at GFS had a similar spray gun cabinet. They literally had everything on the market. It was like beautiful, but they have to, because they have to be able to show all this stuff and use all this stuff as they're building their booths and everything. So, but yeah, to see a setup like that where it's like literally everything that's on the market, including some of the prototypes that aren't even on the market, I'm like, what is all this? So yeah, Chris's toy toy box is definitely stocked. And what I love about it is Chris cares about the stuff too. Like all his stuff is in great shape. He doesn't mess around. So, all this stuff comes in and all these guns are there, but he really does take care of them like they're his own. It's great. Oh, there you go, Nick. So if you guys can hang in there for me to finish, this part of it, I'm almost to the end point on this. So I'll be able to pull this and then do the horizon line, and then this pen, as far as the painting goes, will be done. So instead of breaking this feed off and just kind of finishing the last 10 or 15 minutes on my own, I'll just hang on and see if we can get all the painting done on this, and that would be a really good end to this series with this pen. This white is, though, not playing well. Yeah, Chris is great. Chris is great. This is not playing nice. Bill, what is up? Bill, I've been missing your feeds, man. I feel so bad. I hope you're doing well. I gotta rewatch them and catch up. Hey Steve, when will be able to send super chats? Thomas, thank you. I really appreciate that. So with YouTube, I need 1,000 watch hours and 1,000 followers. So that's coming up. We're getting there on both. So as soon as that happens and YouTube allows monetization, then that's when that happen. But I really appreciate that. That's awesome. So as I kind of look over everything and where things are going, and social media things, and while it'll be nice to get YouTube monetized as well, I don't know that I'll be doing like affiliate links and subscription component somewhere, extra content, which that may happen. It's just going to depend on how the timing goes for a lot of it. Because the bottom line is I want to make sure that, whatever happens, people get their money's worth out of it for sure. So, thanks, Thomas. Oh, no, there's only a couple drops of paint in there. And so yeah, it's setting up in the brush, that's all. Which is why I only put a couple drops in there. And this actually is brand new. Like, I just mixed this up yesterday, so just being cranky. And like I said, this brush and the B has been has been through the ringer, so to speak. They've been yeah, they've been going crazy. There we go. Sorry about that. I just realized. Should be back in a second. I think I made it all the way around. All right. All right. Let's see what we got. I'm sure I got everything on here. Yeah, I think I do. All right. So that leaves the thin blue line. All right. Let me back this up a little bit because I'm going to pull the paper off this. And we'll see what we got. I still got to do the atmosphere on here. But we'll figure that out. All right, let's see what we got. It's always the most fun. Ooh, fancy. All right. Javier from Chile, awesome, welcome. Oh, I like it. I like it. Stunning. Okay, so the thin blue line. I want to make sure I don't have any tape residue on there, which I don't. That's good. Okay, so now just the atmosphere. So I think I gotta freehand it. There's no real other way to do this, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to add a little bit of phthalo blue to this white. Actually, let me clear this out. Let's reset. Oh, while I'm cleaning this out, I'll lower this so you can see the whole thing. So that's how that's looking. There's the sun and everything, which will be fun. So the horizon line is going to go all the way across you just basically follow this whole thing all the way around, up and down. Let's clear this out. Yeah, you guys are going to see this finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a light blue in the brush, and I'm just going to run along this whole edge, just kind of add a little bit of a fuzzy blue glow around the whole thing. There's no real way to do that other than to freehand it. I can't really mask that off, obviously, because it's supposed to be soft on both sides. But I'm going to need a little bit of control on that too. So thanks, Simon. I'm happy. Happy it's coming out. I was most worried about the dip that you see right here, where, again, like we're talking about, laying this thing out. I was afraid how that was going to read on that side, but I think it's going to be okay. I think. I know, and wrapping it is always the most fun. Actually, clearing it too. That's going to be a lot of fun too. One thing I hope I got right, and Sean was on earlier from London Pen. It's the way that. So what I did was I hope this is right. I mean, I think it's right. So the way this cap goes on, it screws on. So what I did was I started the design with it just just kind of closed. So I'm hoping that that all works. Because what happens is, well, I'll show you. So if you started on the wrong thread, this is what happens. So that I don't really know how to kind of get around that, but I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. If someone puts it together wrong or screws the cap back on wrong, misses the thread, then they're going to know it. But I think it's going to be all right. I really can't wait to clear it, though. That'll be fun. All right, where was I? Yeah, that's where I was. So let me, this time I'm going to use the thinner white. And what I think I might do is I'll use just the white and then tint it with the blue. I think that's going to be the way to go. Because that'll, thank you, Simon. This is good. Using the white is going to let me, or using the blue after will let me fix any problems I may have with the white along the way, because I'll be able to tint it out and get rid of it. All right, so actually, how do I want to attack this here? You guys are in a good spot. Start over here. Make sure I get this going. Okay. I'm having like serious anxiety here. I don't want this to blast out, and because if I have a problem here, like if it blasts out and spiderwebs all over here, that's just a tough repair, So I don't want that. So I'm going to try to find the balancing point here with this white so that it works. Put a dot inside the threads. That is an excellent idea, Lewis. Okay, it should be okay. I hope so. All right. So I'm just taking my time, just going back and forth, you know, really slow, just letting it build up. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the blue and backfill it this way to kind of, you know, reduce the size of that and also tint it that blue. So I don't mind if there's a little bit extra white heading out that way. In fact, that's going to help. Okay, almost there, almost there. That's too much. What's going on there? Hold on one second, there's some kind of fuzzy on there. Get that off real quick. Okay. Come on, there we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to double check the whole thing. Maybe need a little bit more right there. Yeah, that's better. Okay, good. So now let me backfill it with the blue, and this is done. I gotta sign it. So I'll have to figure out where to put that. I think I know what I'll do with the signature. They're gonna put it on the bottom. Okay, let me clear this out. What do I got? Oh, no, that's not. I need bright blue for this. So I still have the shadow blue in the other brush, but I really want a bright blue to keep that, you know, looking the way it should. Oops. There we go. I got that? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon taking these apart, I think. They have done their time for this week. I mean, I still got a lot to do this week, but these aren't going to help me much in the condition they're in. So, all right. Let's jump to this one, I think. Maybe a safer bet. Yeah. So I try to get the 543s done during the week, and that kind of gives me the weekend off. This week didn't work out that way, so I'll be doing a lot of painting over the weekends, which I try not to do. I try to, like, you know, do stuff around the house on the weekends, but one of the other things I'm going to try to do, or I have to do, is I have to get the 5 paintings for September, the first week of September. I have to have those done before I leave because I'm not going to have time to do them while I'm there. So I'll start by adding those into the mix too. So that just means, you know, a little bit of extra work before then, but it'll be all right. All right, good. So let me see. Do I want? Yeah, I'm going to go phthalo blue again. This time I'm just going to put a drop of paint in. And then I'm going to use the 40-50, 40-11 mix again, but this time I'm going to use a lot of it. So I want this to be fairly thin and transparent, because all I'm doing is just tinting the outside, the upper edge of that white I just did, to give it kind of a blue cast. And this is how all those lightsaber paintings that I've been doing, it's pretty much the same idea. So I'll paint the blade white and then I'll tint it the color it's supposed to be. Instead of, like, if it's a blue blade, to paint it blue first and then add the glow and all that. It's all done in white first. So, oops, I'm gonna do that. There we go. All right. Thanks, Lee. Yeah, Paul, I definitely will. Ah, Simon, I see what you did there. All right, so here's the blue. So now what I'm going to do is, actually my hand's kind of wet, so I'm going to use the other hand. I'm going to flip this upside down so that when I attack this, and I'll move this to camera so you can see it, or no, I'll slide this down. So when I attack this, I'm hitting the blue this way instead of this way. So that way I make sure that that the blue along the horizon, or the white along the horizon line, stays bright. If I kind of go the other direction, there's a chance I'll, end up hitting that stuff along the edge, which is okay if I do a little bit, but I don't want to hit it a lot. I really want that to be glowing. So this is really easy, and this is such a dream compared to spraying the white. There we go. I don't want to do that. Oh, nice, JC. So, and which brings up a good question. I don't know what Sean is doing with these pens. This one I'm sending him as he sent me a completed pen, which is, so that was really, really nice. So I'm just sending this back to him, and he can do whatever he wants to do with it. He had talked briefly about doing like an artist series. I know he had talked to Scott McKay originally. I don't know if he's still hoping to do that or what, but like I said, I have those other 2 pens, so maybe that will be part of that. But there you go. That is it. Let me back this up the proper way. Everything's shaking. I'm working on fixing everything shaking too, by the way. I have a couple extra braces for my Visionaire setup that will help with that. But this is how the space pen came out. So we have the proper atmosphere, Earth and sun, and then just as you swing around this side, you get the galaxy, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign it. Well, might as well do it right now. Why not? How am I going to do this? I'm going to hold this so that's not in the way. I think I know. Yeah, I got it. Hold on. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. We'll use this one. Let's sign it there. All right. And sign it in white. Yeah, white's good. Okay. Angle this a little bit. Get a shot at this. Get you guys in so you can really see what's going on here. Okay. You guys are, well, that's not going to work very well. 22. Hooray! So there we go. Back you guys way out. Here. See the whole thing. There we go. So that is Space Pen. It'll be fun. I'll clear this real quick. Not today, but I'll get this cleared. And it'll be ready to rock. Signed and everything. What do you know? No sneezing. I know, Juan. It's the only thing that shuts me up. All right. Move this out of the way, and that's what I got. All right. So thank you for coming by, hanging out while I do Space Pen. Big thanks to London Pen Company and Sean. He's amazing. Yeah. So business as usual. I'm going to jump over and finish up the Chevelle painting and get that on the YouTube channel today. So it'll probably show up tonight, which is the last installment of the Chevelle painting, which is fun. And as far as a time lapse, I'm not going to be able to pull off a time lapse this week. I don't think. If I do, it'll be later on, like Sunday. But I'll see what I can do because I haven't done any of the 543s yet. So that's usually where that comes from. So that's what I got. All right. So thank you for hanging out with me. And yeah, we'll do the same thing. Again, we'll do the same Thursday next week. And then the only one I'm going to miss is the one when I'm actually in Salt Lake City. So that'll happen the end of the month. But I'll keep you guys in the loop. So that's what I got. So thank you for hanging out. And yes, I will catch you all on the next one. Thanks a lot.